Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Bella. So, Bella says, I've been in therapy for over a decade and then came across this understanding, and I'm no longer on meds or in therapy. Instead, I binge watch all of your videos. Sorry about that. I'm doing great and loving and so grateful for life. I do feel so much sadness and regret though, because in my personal head, the tape is going off saying, wow, you're almost 40 and only now waking up. I compare it to waking up after a coma. It's wondrous, and I look around in curiosity and find myself smiling all the time at all the small wonders. I also feel overwhelmed at the waste of my life. You say life lives us, but I feel so sad for all the lost years and kind of clueless as to how to make it up. Yes, make up lost time. Yes, I was in so much darkness and I had no idea how to live. If life was living me then, wow, that's an awful feeling to have been in darkness since I was a little girl, missing out on all the joy, only to wake up now and wonder now what. And so maybe as I write this question, the answer is to listen to this video again, and maybe it isn't the huge question I thought it was. But maybe you can address how to feel like not how to feel about not liking how life lived you for most of your life and how to process that, how to face the damage of all of those years and relationships not developed, skills not learned, and opportunities lost. And I also feel like maybe you could have, and also feeling like maybe you could have done something different and lived differently during that time. And then she says in parentheses, although honestly I was so depressed, I don't know how. So I love this question, Bella. I'm so glad you asked this, because for a couple reasons. One, I think it's just so relatable, but two, because it's so simple and it really points to something that is going to be far more simple than you might think it is, than any of us thinks it is. So amazing that you've seen things so differently. I love what you say, and it feels very genuine as you say it in the beginning of your question here. Um, you know how it's like waking up after a coma and it's wondrous, and you look around in curiosity and find yourself smiling all the time at the small wonders. That's great. And and thought also comes in and says, why now? Why did it take this long? Like, now what are you supposed to do? How do you make up for all that lost time, and why did it have to take so long, and why couldn't you have seen this earlier? And I just want you to see that the source of both of those is the same thing. So sometimes we're just in life the way that you describe. We just are life. It's not even like there's an us in it. We are life. We feel that oneness of everything. We are it and it is us. And in that place, without a me it's coming back to all the time, it just feels like wondrous, and there's small wonders all over, and it's amazing. And that's great. Of course, we like that feeling. We like that place and that state. And sometimes there's a lot of thought happening, and it's thought for many reasons. One, it feels really heavy, it's judgmental, and it's telling you there's something wrong with now. There's nothing wrong with now in now. There's only something wrong with now or with before, and there's a wrong. Let's just say there's something wrong, period. There's never anything actually wrong. There's only the experience of something wrong in thought. Only thought can tell us that. So beautiful. Of course, you still think. You're always going to think. Thought shows up. I just want you to see that same thought that's showing up, looking backward and then looking forward, and there's always a timeline. There's always a you. There's always a Bella that was this Bella, and now she's that Bella, and she should have done something to be different along the way. There's always time. There's always a you. It always feels personal. That's just what thought does. Now, when that thought comes up and talks about regret and should have and all of that, and life didn't live me the right way, that has the exact same source as when thought comes up and says, wow, it's so amazing. Like, life is so much easier than I thought. Or when you feel like there's no thought, when you don't feel like you're thinking much, and you just are the experience of life. It's all the same. It's all the same. The source, I don't want to say the source is the same, because the source is all of it. It's all one energy. It's all one thing. It's life showing up as appreciation and gratitude, and it's life showing up as frustration and regret, and it's life pretending that there's a Bella that should have done differently, and it's life sometimes seeing through that, saying, oh, no, that doesn't even make sense. It's all the same thing. So you will have a variety of experience, and all you're describing here, I know it's so easy to get in the story of it. The story of a Bella who was depressed and missed out, and now she's free and happy, except, oh no, she's not really free and happy because she's used to be depressed and she used to miss out. You see how that story is. You're past what you want to be past. You see things in a new way. But look, there's thought, there's a mind going into the past and still creating what appears to be a problem. We just want to see that process. We want to see that that's what's happening. It's easy to get lost in the story of that and feel like, oh, I'm so close. I was so close, but now I have all this regret to deal with. All you're describing really is being in life and experiencing thought. And sometimes thought is not paid much attention to. Sometimes it's happy and grateful, and sometimes it's full of regret and stories. And it doesn't matter because none of it is true. It's thought. It's thought. It's a storyteller. It's hard, really hard for anyone when we're in that thought, in that story, wanting to make it go our way or see it differently. So we could talk about, like you said, how to feel about not liking how life lived you for most of your life, and how to process that, and the damage of all of those years and relationships not developed and opportunities lost. I know that's a really real experience when it arises. I also know, and I want you to see this yourself, Bella, check on this yourself. There are times when those stories aren't there and you're just back here, and I'm guessing that's when things are pretty nice, when there's gratitude and wonder and all of that. Nothing has changed. Nothing's changed between those times. All that's going on is thought is showing up, and thought is telling a story of regret. So I don't know, I feel like I'm not expressing how simple this is. It is so simple. There is a story of regret. Something's wrong. Things should have been different. We suffer. Across the board. You, me, anyone. Across the board, we will suffer. Those stories are not true. That is not actually telling us something about our life. And man, it's hard to see that because we feel like we're in there. No, this was me and this was my past and I have evidence to prove it. But right now, it's a story. It's a linear mind talking about this supposedly separate character called you that had all these experiences, and some were good and some were bad. That's not life. That's not truth. Truth is things simply unfolded. Life lived you. What happened, done. And I know that's really hard for a mind, and I don't mean to sound insensitive to sometimes what happens we hate. Of course, that's part of the experience too. That's also that same one energy, you know? So yeah, sometimes we hate it, and sometimes our mind will try like crazy to figure it out and why. But I just want you to see that all that's happening there is your mind is trying to figure something out. To me, like things could have never ever been different than they were, ever. If you can lean into that, get curious about that. I mean, that one belief I think causes more suffering than almost any belief. There's a lot of beliefs I could say that about, but this is for sure one of them, right? It could have been different. It should have been different. That's a thought. That's a belief. How could it have been different? And you even say it, Bella. Although I was so depressed, I don't know how it could have been different. You're right. It could not have been different. And your mind doesn't have to see the perfection in it. Your mind can, for the rest of your life, your mind might say, no, I really wish that had been different. But you can see that that's just a mind that would say that. That's only thought wants to argue with what's done and over, wants to argue with reality. There is so much freedom, so much benefit, so much freedom in being curious about the idea that things could not have gone any different ever in our life than they've gone. How could they have? We can jump into stories, but again, that would be a story making stuff up, generalizing, making stuff up all about you. In the reality of it, it's just what's happening is what's happening. And minds hate that, but you know that and you love that. And there's so much to feel into there. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for sending your question, Bella. Again, it's just so simple. All this regret and should have and making up for lost time, there's nothing to make up for. You're here now. Here now. You're not missing anything. There's nothing to make up for. All story. And story happens. Story will show up forever. But you get to keep seeing it as story rather than as a truth you need to solve for. So thank you so much. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys next week.